In this video, I'm going to show you how to do basic geometric proofs, like proving that two triangles are congruent. Now, for problem number 1, nothing is given, but there's still something that you can mark on the diagram, and that would be vertical angles. So, whenever you have an X formed like this, it creates vertical angles. So in this case, that's angle ABC, which will be congruent to angle DBE. And the reason is, you can either say vertical angles theorem, or you could say vertical angles are congruent, which is basically what the vertical angles theorem says. So you can either say vertical angles theorem, or you can say vertical angles are congruent. Either way. Problem number 2. Again, there's something that we can mark automatically just by the way the picture looks, and that is the shared side. All right, we can mark the shared side, which will automatically be the same for both triangles. Now, when you mark a shared side, you're just going to name that side and say that it is congruent to itself. So segment BA is congruent to segment BA. All right, so when you have this silly little common sense statement that something is congruent to itself, that is called the reflexive property. So that'll be the reason. Okay, baby steps, moving on. Use this answer bank to complete the proofs below. All right, so we have these answer bank statements, and we have these answer bank reasons. All right, so looking at problem number 3, we have, well, let's start with the given. So we are given that AB is congruent to AE. So let's mark it on the picture. So AB is congruent to AE, and let's put it in the proof. Okay, so we have AB is congruent to AE. And of course, the reason will be given. Okay, I think we're supposed to sort of cross these off as we use them. So we used AB is congruent to AE, and we used one of the givens. All right. Now, we're also given that angle C is congruent to angle D. So we might as well go ahead and mark that. Angle C is congruent to angle D. All right, so let's write that down. Angle C is congruent to angle D. And that, again, is given. Okay, now I'm looking for something else I can mark. I've used up the givens. I'm looking at the picture, and I'm seeing that we have vertical angles right here. So let's go ahead and mark those. Boom, boom. All right, so that means that angle BAC is congruent to angle EAD. All right, and that's right here. So angle BAC is congruent to angle EAD. And we knew that because these are vertical angles. So we will just say vertical angles are congruent, or you could say vertical angles theorem. All right. Well, we're at the end. We were supposed to prove that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle AED. So that's going to be the last statement. Okay, let's go and write that down. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle AED. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to cross that off. Now, what's the reason? Well, looking at one triangle at a time. So for example, just focus on the yellow triangle for this moment. What pieces of information do we have? We have two angles and a side. Two angles and a side. That means it'll either be angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side. It's going to be one of those two because we have two angles and a side. The way we know the difference is by thinking about the word between. It'll only be angle, side, angle if the side is between the two angles. Is this side between the two angles? No, because here's one angle, here's the other angle. This is the side that's between the two angles. The side that's marked is not the side that's between. So when it's not between, then that's going to be angle, angle, side. So that will be our reason. Angle, angle, side. All right, so we can go ahead and cross that out. All right, so that one is done. Now, let's switch to problem number 4. We are given that angle DBA, let's see, DBA, that's this angle right here, is congruent to angle CAB. Let's see, CAB, that's going to be this angle right here. All right, so let's copy that down. So angle DBA is congruent to angle CAB. And of course, that is given. Okay. So DBA is congruent to CAB. Okay. We have another given, angle DAB. All right, so DAB is going to be this angle right here. Is congruent to angle CBA. CBA, that's going to be this angle right here. All right, let's write that down. Angle DAB is congruent to angle CBA. And that is another given. All right, so there goes the two givens, and we just use this statement. All right, now there's something else we can mark just because the way the picture looks, and that is the shared side right here. So let's go ahead and just put a mark on that. And when you have a shared side, you just say that the side is congruent to itself. So BA is congruent to BA. Okay, well, so they said AB is congruent to AB, same thing. The reason when you have this little statement saying something is congruent to itself, that is called the reflexive property. All right, the reflexive property. So we're at the end. It is time to say the thing that we were trying to prove. We were trying to prove that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle BAD Okay, do we have enough information for that? Well, let's look at one triangle at a time. So focus your eyes on this triangle for the moment. Okay, so looking at the yellow triangle, what information do we have? We have two angles and a side. So that would be either angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle. It's going to be one of these two. As we discussed a minute ago, it'll only be angle, side, angle if the side is between the two angles. See the S between the two A's? The side has to be between the two angles. And that is exactly the situation that we have here. Here's one angle. Here's the other angle that we have marked. This is the side that is between those two angles, and that is the side that is marked. So since the side is between the two angles, that is angle, side, angle. All right, which was the last reason left anyway. Okay. All right, just a couple more. Mark the diagram as you fill in the blanks in each proof. All right, here we go. So they gave us the first couple statements. So angle A is congruent to angle B. Let's go ahead and mark that. So that's angle A is congruent to angle B. All right, that's given. All right, and then they mentioned the other given. AD is congruent to BC. So AD is congruent to BC. That is also given. All right, so we've used up the given. Now we look for something else that we can mark automatically just because of the way the picture looks. And I see that we have vertical angles right here. I'm going to switch this to a double mark because of a system in my head. All right, so we have these vertical angles that will always be congruent. So the vertical angles are AOD, that's one angle. So angle AOD is congruent to angle BOC. Angle BOC. And these are vertical angles. So we can just say vertical angles are congruent. All right, now it's time to say that the triangles are congruent. So just look at one triangle at a time. And I see that we have two angles and a side. All right, that tells me that we're either dealing with angle, side, angle, or it's going to be angle, angle, side. All right, it's going to be one of these because these are the ones that have two angles and a side. It'll be angle, side, angle if the side is between the two angles. It'll be angle, angle, side if the side is not between. All right, so at a glance, I can see that the side is not between the two angles. So that's going to make this angle, angle, side. If you have any trouble seeing that the side is not between the two angles, you should go like this. All right, here's one angle. Here's the other angle that's marked. That makes this the side that's between the two angles. And that is not the side that was marked. Okay, now we have to make the congruence statement. So triangle ADO is congruent to triangle what? Well, angle A corresponds to angle B. So I'm going to start with angle B. Angle D is blank, so that's going to correspond with angle C. And so we've used B and C, so that just leaves angle O left. All right, so that is it for number 5. Okay, number 6. All right. Looks like we are starting off with the given. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. So that means that this angle is congruent to this angle. Given. Angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. So that means that this angle is congruent with this angle. That is also given. What else can I mark? The shared side. The shared side will be congruent to itself. So I'm just going to put a triple mark on that guy. And that is side TR. So segment TR is congruent to segment TR. And when you say a segment is congruent to itself, that is the reflexive property. Okay, time to say that the triangles are congruent. Focus on one triangle at a time. All right, focus on this yellow triangle, if you will. What do we have marked? We have 2 angles and a side. That means this is either going to be angle, side, angle, or it will be angle, angle, side. It's going to be one of these two. It'll be angle, side, angle if the side is between the 2 angles. If the side is not between the 2 angles, then it'll be angle, angle, side. Hopefully you can see that the side is between the 2 angles. All right, this side is between the 2 angles. So this will be angle, side, angle. If you have any trouble seeing that this side is between the angles, try this. Mark each angle, okay, just right at the corner. If you connect the dots, that shows you the side that is between those 2 angles. And that is the side that is marked, so the marked side is between the 2 angles. Okay, now for the congruence statement. Triangle RTQ is congruent to triangle what? Well, the yellow R is congruent to the white R. So R is going to match up with R. That won't always be true. Sometimes these are flipped around backwards. Now, the yellow angle at T is congruent to the white angle at T. So T matches up with T. All right? And of course, that leaves angle Q to correspond with angle S, which makes sense because that's the blank one and that's the blank one. All right, one more problem. All right, this one is blank, so we have to do this all by ourselves, but that's okay. Let's start with the given and see how far we get. So we have angle BAC. BAC will be this angle right here. And that is congruent to angle DBA. DBA. That's this angle right here. All right, let's write that down. So angle BAC is congruent to angle DBA. And of course, that was given. All right, we're also given that segment AC, which is right here, is congruent to segment BD, which is right here. Let's write that down. So segment AC is congruent to segment BD. All right, given. Now we look for something else that we can mark just because of the way the picture looks. And again, we have a shared side, which will always be congruent for both triangles. Okay, so that's BA. So when you have a shared side, you just say that it is congruent to itself. So BA is congruent to BA. And when you say a side is congruent to itself, that is called the reflexive property. All right, now it's time to say the thing that we were trying to prove, which is that triangle ABC is congruent to the other triangle. We have to put the letters in the right order. Focus on one triangle at a time. All right, so let's make a yellow triangle, and we'll leave the other one white. Okay, so first of all, let's decide how to prove that these triangles are congruent. What information do we have? I see that we have two sides and an angle. So when you have two sides and an angle, there are three possibilities. It will either be side angle side, or it will be hypotenuse leg, which is a special case of side angle. In general, side angle does not prove that two triangles are congruent. So since this is a proof and we have to prove the triangles are congruent, we can forget about side angle. That wouldn't work. Hypotenuse leg is only a possibility when you have a right triangle. We do not know that angle C and angle D are 90 degrees, so it can't be hypotenuse leg. So it really has to turn out to be this one, or else we have a problem. But let me mention that for side angle side, the angle has to be between the two sides. See how the A is between the S's. Now in this case, that happens to work out because this angle is between the two sides. If you have any trouble seeing that, try this. Trace the two sides that you have marked. Wherever they touch, that's the angle that's between the sides. And you can see that they meet right here at angle A. And angle A is the angle that we have marked congruent. So the angle is between the two sides. So it makes sense that we should be able to use side angle side for the reason. Okay, now making the congruence statement. Angle A, the yellow angle A, corresponds to the white angle B. So we're going to go B right now. Next, okay, this is the yellow angle B. Notice the yellow angle B is the blank one. So that corresponds to the white angle A. And then, of course, angle C corresponds with angle D. That's pretty obvious. And that is it.